Okay, we're analyzing quite a stack of recent reports here. High-intensity stuff detailing military actions.
Yeah, and what really stands out is this concentration of successful strikes just over the past couple of weeks.
Right, culminating in some pretty dramatic events, specifically on the night of November 5th.
Mm-hmm.
The sheer geographical spread,
Mm-hmm.
and the kinds of targets reported,
Yeah,
it gives us a clear window into, well, shifting capabilities
it
maybe.
definitely seems that way.
And just quickly, for everyone tuning in, you're listening to Robert and Sarah's Warfront Analysis. Make sure you subscribe for daily updates like this one. Okay, so back to the immediate events. We really need to jump straight into that big one.
Hmm.
The powerful explosions reported Wednesday evening, November 5th, in occupied Donetsk.
Yes, that one caught a lot of attention. The sources pinpoint the Kubishevsky district.
But it's more than just the location, right? The sequence is what matters.
Exactly. It's a classic case of looking past just the initial bang. Local channels reported first a really strong shockwave.
Felt across parts of the city, apparently.
Right. And then, almost immediately after, the sound of numerous secondary detonations.
And that's the crucial bit, isn't it? For you listening. Those secondary booms are often the gold standard for evidence in strikes like this.
It really is. Because, think about it, that acoustic signature, multiple explosions popping off after the main one, it strongly suggests what got hit.
Not just a building collapsing or something.
No, no. If it were, say, just a fuel depot or maybe a factory, you'd expect a massive fire, maybe one big secondary blast if a main tank goes up.
Okay.
But those multiple sort of persistent pops and bangs, ordnance cooking off one shell after another, that is the unmistakable sound of a large ammunition depot going up.
So it confirms a successful hit on supplies much more clearly than just seeing the initial blast damage.
Far more certainly, yes. The reports also mention, large plumes of smoke, a strong fire. Visually consistent, too.
Wait, just to be sure here. Are we absolutely certain this ammo based just on sound could, like a big vehicle park with fuel tanks or something specific, create multiple booms? How confident are the sources?
That's a fair question. The confidence seems to come from the combination of the sound and the duration, plus the visuals. Some sources noted faint explosions continuing for quite a while after the main event.
Okay.
Fuel burns fast, right?
How?
An ammo dump, though, it detonates piece by piece as the fire spreads through the stored rounds. That sustained element is key. Acoustically and visually, it points strongly to ammo.
Got it. And the method? Still up in the air.
Still debated in the sources, yeah. Could be a missile strike, could be a Ukrainian attack drone. Precision either way, seems like. But the outcome is pretty clear. A major supply point looks like it was taken out.
Okay, so that Donetsk strike, tactically significant near the front, sure. But as you said, it wasn't isolated. It feels like part of a, well, pattern.
A very coordinated pattern that seemed to really ramp up in early November.
So let's look at that pattern. If we zero in on the logistical targets, these ammo storage sites,
Yeah.
what else did the sources report around that time?
Well, hitting these depots signals a real systematic effort, trying to degrade the immediate battlefield supply chain. Ammunition, it's the lifeblood for any sustained fighting.
Absolutely.
Taking one depot out doesn't just mean lost shells. It disrupts plans, causes delays, forces commanders to rely on longer, maybe more vulnerable routes to get ammo to the front. It hits morale, too, potentially.
And the sources documented other hits targeting exactly that vulnerability around the same time. There was that strike, reported night of November 4th, another ammo depot, this one in occupied Donetsk, Luhansk region.
And if you look back just a bit further, October 23rd, there was that incident illustrating the reach needed for this. Sources said Ukrainian drones hit a large ammo depot way inside Russia's Belgorod region.
Belgorod. It's hundreds of kilometers from the fighting, isn't it?
It is. And hitting something like that demonstrates, well, the vulnerability of these big fixed storage sites. They're obvious targets if you can reach them.
So it underlines that this isn't just about hitting bunkers right on the line. It's about reaching back, hitting those critical nodes where supplies are gathered before they even get close to the front.
Precisely. Disrupting the flow at the source or close to it.
Okay, let's put the ammo depots aside for a second, because the other type of target reported around November 4th and 5th. Wow. The distances involved, the strategic nature. We're talking industry and energy infrastructure.
Yes. And this is where the strategy seems to broaden. It shifts from just impacting the immediate battle to potentially disrupting the longer-term economic and industrial engine that fuels the war effort.
Look at the strikes reported around the 4th and 5th. We've got reports of Ukrainian forces hitting an oil refinery in the Nizhny Novgorod region,
Major fuel production there.
a chemical plant in Bashkortostan,
Way out east.
2 separate electrical substations in different regions, and oil pumping stations up in the Yaroslavl region.
Okay, let's connect those dots. Nizhny Novgorod refined fuel, vital for military and civilian use. Yaroslavl oil infrastructure, moving the raw material. But Bashkortostan, that one stands out.
Bashkortostan is, what, over 1,000 kilometers from Ukraine?
Mm-hmm.
For you, the listener, can you help put that distance in perspective? Hitting industry that deep, what does that signal about the range and maybe the reliability of whatever platforms were used?
I mean, in practical terms, think about launching something from, say, London and hitting a specific factory deep inside Poland. Or maybe New York striking something accurately in Kansas. It suggests a capability, whether it's long-range missiles or sophisticated drones that can get past quite extensive layered air defenses.
So critical, fixed sites deep inside Russia are potentially vulnerable now.
That seems to be the message, yes. These aren't mobile command posts, they're large, static industrial facilities, and hitting a chemical plant specifically.
Yeah, what's the significance there? It's not just fuel, right?
No, it's more fundamental. Chemical plants produce precursors for explosives, materials for defense manufacturing, even things like fertilizer, which impacts the wider economy and food security. It hits the underlying industrial base.
And hitting all these different types of targets, refineries, chemical plants, power substations, almost simultaneously.
It forces a major defensive headache. Russian air defenses now have to worry about protecting crucial static industrial sites spread across thousands of square kilometers far from the front lines. That inevitably stretches resources thin.
Okay, let's try and pull this together. What the sources seem to be showing us is a clear picture of ongoing attacks, falling into maybe 2 main categories. First, hitting tactical battlefield logistics ammo depots like in Donetsk, confirmed by those secondary booms.
Right, impacting the immediate fight.
And second, a systematic effort to degrade strategic industrial capacity, hitting oil, chemicals, power infrastructure, often very far from the actual fighting.
Exactly. And for you, the learner, these reports really highlight that the focus seems to be shifting towards, or at least including, attrition. Degrading Russia's long-term ability to wage war, not just focusing on tactical gains on the ground.
And the reports mentioned both missiles and drones being potentially involved in different incidents.
Yeah.
That dual threat.
Mm.
What kind of challenge does that pose for defenders trying to protect such a huge area? Why is facing both harder?
It's a classic resource allocation nightmare. Defending against a high-speed cruise missile that takes expensive, dedicated interceptors, sophisticated long-range radar, big investments.
Okay.
Defending against a small, slow, low-flying drone, which might cost, peanuts, relatively speaking, maybe under $20,000. That needs a totally different system. Maybe machine guns, electronic jamming, specific short-range air defenses like Gepards or similar.
Different tools for different threats.
Completely different. And the problem is, you can't really afford to fire $1 million surface-to-air missile at every cheap drone that comes along. You'd burn through your strategic stockpiles incredibly fast.
So it forces this constant, difficult choice.
A painful trade-off, yeah. Do you use your high-end interceptors sparingly and risk letting drones through to hit valuable targets? Or do you use them liberally and risk running out when you really need them against missiles or aircraft? It makes providing comprehensive defense across vast distances incredibly difficult and expensive. Defensive saturation becomes almost impossible.
Right. And just to circle back on the specifics, especially that Donetsk event on November 5th, we need to be clear about the status of these reports, correct?
Absolutely. Important caveat. For that specific, highly visible explosion in Donetsk, the sources we're drawing from state there were still no official confirmations from either Ukrainian officials or the occupying authorities at the time of reporting. Details on specific damage levels or casualties remain unconfirmed.
So we're relying on the reported physical evidence, the shockwaves, the fire, and crucially, those secondary detonations which strongly suggest a major supply hit.
Precisely. The physical and acoustic evidence is compelling, even without official statements yet.
Okay, so summing up, we've seen evidence from these sources pointing to a confirmed supply hit in Donetsk via secondary explosions. And we've traced a documented pattern of strikes hitting critical infrastructure ammo depots near the front, like Dovzhansk, but also stretching way back to Belgorod, and then deep into Russia, hitting oil in Yaroslav, chemicals in Bashkortostan. The focus seems twofold: disrupt immediate logistics and degrade long-term industrial capacity.
Yeah, hitting the means to fight now and the means to produce for the future. And it raises a really interesting closing thought, I think.
Go on.
Well, given these repeated, apparently successful hits on these huge fixed sites, ammo depots in Dozansk, Belgorod, Donetsk, these big industrial complexes, what structural vulnerabilities does this expose for Russia in securing its supply chain and its industrial base against these persistent long-range attacks?
You mean, like, can they even rely on massive central depots anymore?
Exactly. Does this kind of campaign compel them to fundamentally change how they store and move supplies? Maybe shift entirely away from large, centralized sites to much smaller, more dispersed logistics? And if they do that, what's the cost in terms of efficiency? That's a significant strategic question these reports raise, and something worth watching closely.